Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session looking at The Changeling by Thomas Middleton and William Rowley. It is relatively late in our relative arrow of time in terms of the plays that we're primarily looking at when we do sessions. We're sort of still mostly living in the early Jacobean, but every so often we dance around and jump forward a little bit, and we're looking at around 1622, towards the end of the Jacobean. James has a few years left, and then obviously at the moment he goes, then all theatre changes overnight because they've changed the name of the era, so it has to. It's not how any of that works. Changeling is, of course, quite a well-known play. In fact, you may have seen it before, if not, but do try to avoid spoilers if you have. Take each scene as it comes, and we have a wonderful room of readers to see what happens in the play. So reading today, Jasperino and Antonio is...
Hi, I'm Eric, I think. Maybe. Hi, I'm here.
Reading First Servant, Vermandero, and a third Madman is...
Greg, and I'm trying to get this to work, but it won't. Tragedy tonight.
Reading Second Servant, Lollio, and Alonzo is...
Matthew Roberts.
Reading Beatrice-Joanna and First Madman is...
Liza Graham, coming to you from London.
Reading Deflores and Second Madman is...
Anna Rose.
And reading Alsemero, Alibius, and Isabella is...
Rachel.
And everyone's being terribly on point today. And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. It's like, I'm trying to check some notes, and everyone's being... I have to quickly go to the next one. I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I will be reading stage directions. I may be jumping in to read some other parts. Otherwise, I'll be hopefully redistributing some. We may have a late comer to the session, so we will try and keep everything moving forward in a suitably efficient fashion. But without further ado, we will dive into the first scene of Act 1. I see no prologue. Presumably there was one, but it does not, as a document, survive for us. Act 1, Scene 1, enter Alsemero.
'Twas in the temple where I first beheld her, and now again the same. What omen yet follows of that? None but imaginary. Why should my hopes or fate be timorous? The place is holy, so is my intent. I love her beauties to the holy purpose, and that methinks admits comparison with man's first creation, the place blessed, and his right home back, if he achieve it. The church hath first begun our interview, and that's the place must join us into one. So there's the beginning and perfection too.
Enter Jasperino.
Oh, sir, are you here? Come, the wind's fair with you. You're like to have a swift and pleasant passage.
Sure, y' are a deceived friend. 'Tis contrary in my best judgment.
What, from Malta? If you could buy a gale amongst the witches, they could not serve you such a lucky pennyworth as comes of God's name.
Even now I observed the temple's vain to turn full in my face. I know 'tis against me.
Against you, then you know not where you are.
Not well indeed.
Are you not well, sir?
Yes, Jasperino, unless there be some hidden malady within me that I understand not.
And that I begin to doubt, sir. I never knew your inclinations to travels to pause with any cause to hinder it until now. As ashore you were wont to call your servants up and help to trap your horses for the speed at sea. I have seen you weigh the anchor with them, hoist sails for fear to lose the foremost breath, being continual prayers for fair winds. And have you changed your orisons?
No, friend, I keep the same church, same devotion.
Lover, I'm sure you're none. The stoic was found in you long ago. Your mother nor best friends who have set snares of beauty, aye, and choice ones too, could never trap you that way. What might be the cause?
Lord, how violent thou art! I was but meditating of somewhat I heard within the temple.
Is this violence? 'Tis but idleness compared with your haste yesterday.
I'm all this while a-going, man.
Enter 2 servants to Alsemero.
Backwards, I think, sir. Look, your servants.
The seamen call. Shall we board your trunks?
No, not today.
'Tis the critical day, it seems, and the sign in Aquarius.
We must not to sea today. This smoke will bring forth fire.
Keep all on shore. I do not know the end, which needs I must do of an affair in hand ere I can go to sea.
Well, your pleasure.
Let him even take his leisure too. We are safer on land.
Enter Alsemero's exit Alsemero's servants. Enter Beatrice-Joanna, Diaphanta, and servants. Alsemero bows to Beatrice-Joanna and kisses her.
Oh, now the laws of the Medes are changed. Sure, salute a woman. He kisses too. Wonderful. Where learned he this? And does it perfectly too. In my conscience, he ne'er rehearsed it before. Nay, go on. This will be stranger and better news at Valencia than if he had ransomed half Greece from the Turk.
You are a scholar, sir.
A weak one, lady.
Which of the sciences is this love you speak of?
From your tongue, I take it to be music.
You're skillful in it, can sing at first sight.
And I have showed you all my skill at once. I want more words to express me further, and must be forced to repetition. I love you dearly.
Be better advised, sir. Our eyes are sentinels unto our judgments, and should give certain judgment what they see. But they are rash sometimes. Tell us wonders of common things, which, when our judgments find, they then can check the eyes and call them blind.
But I am further, lady. Yesterday was mine eyes' employment, and hither now they brought my judgment, where are both agreed, both houses consenting. 'Tis agreed, only there wants the confirmation by the hand royal. That's your part, lady.
Oh, there's one above me, sir. For 5 days past to be recalled. Sure mine eyes were mistaken. This was the man was meant me, that he should come so near his time and miss it.
We might have come by the carriers from Valencia, I see, and saved all our sea provision. We're at farthest shore. He thinks I should do something too. I meant to be a venturer in this voyage. Yonder's another vessel. I'll board her if she be lawful prize. Down goes her topsail.
And Jasperino greets Diaphanta. Enter Deflores.
Lady, your father.
Is in health, I hope.
Your eye shall instantly instruct you, lady. He's coming hitherward.
What needed then your duteous preface? I had rather he had come unexpected. You must stall a good presence with unnecessary blabbing. And how welcome for your part you are, I'm sure you know.
Wilt never mend this scorn, one side nor other. Must I be enjoined to follow still while she flies from me? Well, fates, do your worst. I'll please myself with sight of her at all opportunities, if but to spite her anger. I know she had rather see me dead than living, and yet she knows no cause for it but a peevish will.
You seem displeased, lady, on the sudden.
Your pardon, sir. 'Tis my infirmity, nor can I other reason render you than his or hers of some particular thing they must abandon as a deadly poison, which to 1,000 other tastes were wholesome. Such to mine eyes is that same fellow there, the same that report speaks of the basilisk.
This is a frequent frailty in our nature. There's scarce a man amongst 1,000 sound but hath his imperfection. One distastes the scent of roses, which to infinites most pleasing is and odoriferous. One oil, the enemy of poison, another wine, the cheerer of the heart, and lively refresher of the countenance. Indeed, this fault, if it be so, is general. There's scarce a thing but it is both loved and loathed. Myself, I must confess, have the same frailty.
And what may be your poison, sir? I'm bold with you.
What might be your desire, perhaps? A cherry?
I am no enemy to any creature my memory has, but yon gentleman.
He does ill to tempt your sight, if he knew it.
He cannot be ignorant of that, sir. I have not spared to tell him so, and I want to help myself, since he's a gentleman in good respect with my father and follows him.
and they talk apart. And we're going to pause mid-scene to just sort of take in this flow. It's interesting, the length of some of the asides in this. It's not that, every so often, someone turns to the audience. I mean, the servants sort of turn to the audience and do a one-liner. But we do have some pretty chunky bits of text from characters who barely have entered and then get, in terms of actual dialogues, managed to say to an actual human on stage, barely get more than about 10 words out, and then gets a 7-line speech to the audience. So there's something interesting going on in some of those exchanges, and unpacking how all these people are interacting and relating. As a start of a play, is everyone feeling that they've linked into what's going on? Just on a structural exposition note, is anyone confused? I'm taken by silence that everyone is perfectly happy. But I asked the question. If that's the answer, that's fine. Eric.
Basically, I just have a question, like sort of the line about that Beatrice-Joanna has about for 5 days past to be recalled. So, sure, mine eyes were mistaken and all that stuff. Is that sort of like her going, he hasn't called me back for 5 days, or like is that just sort of like
Liza?
Yeah.
I think that what it means, I mean, we'll see, but I think that what she means is that she was betrothed to someone else 5 days ago.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And she wishes that time had not happened, that she'd met this guy 5 days earlier.
Yeah, timing, man. It's just it's all off, and it's not good. I think it's fair to say Beatrice-Joanna is not a fan of Deflores at all. Very, I mean, poor chap. He's only got 3 words out, and a few lines, a few words after that, and then it's immediately, how dare you go on so long about saying something? It's just poor chap. Any other thoughts? Eric, and then Rachel.
Clearly, Jasperino is quite different to like, what's his face? Alsemero, who kind of has this whole like genteel kind of approach, whereas Jasperino is kind of like, well, she looks fine. She looks like a woman. It's fine. I'll board her, and down goes the topsail and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's a bit obvious. But I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there are a few innuendos, shall we say, that are slipping past, as it were. And admittedly, they're about 5 miles high, but Rachel.
As an opening scene, it does a great job showing as the 2 sides of Beatrice-Joanna. So nice and flirtatious, and then horrible to Deflores.
Yeah. But we could argue under a certain level of emotional stress at this time. So maybe we're being, but maybe we will get more data.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a really good point. We've seen, I suppose, and in both cases, she's reacting to men around her, one very positively and one very negatively, and we haven't really seen her out of the company of people she either loves or loathes.
Okay, well, let's the scene, because people sort of are on stage, but they sort of move aside or come back again, and so there's a sort of floatiness to what's going on. Some people who were to one side are now going to come back into focus, while Beatrice-Joanna and Alsemero sort of start to drift off a little bit. They talk apart, or will do after Alsemero presumably says this line.
He's out of his place then now.
I am a mad wag wench.
So methinks, but for your comfort, I can tell you we have a doctor in the city that undertakes the cure of such.
Tush, I know what physic is best for the state of mine own body.
It is a scarce, a well-governed state, I believe.
I could show thee such a thing with an ingredient that we two would compound together, and if it did not tame the maddest blood of the town for 2 hours after, I'll ne'er profess physic again.
Little poppy, sir, were good to cause you sleep.
Poppy, I'll give you a popular lips for that first and begin there.
And he kisses her.
Poppy is one simple indeed, and cuckoo, where what you called another. I'll discover no more now. Another time I'll show thee all.
And enter Vermandero and servants. Beatrice-Joanna comes into focus.
My father, sir.
Oh, Joanna, I came to meet thee. Your devotions ended.
For this time, sir. I shall change my saint, I fear me. I find a giddy turning in me. Sir, this while I am beholden to this gentleman who left his own way to keep me company, and in discourse I find him much desirous to see your castle. He hath deserved it, sir, if you please to grant it.
With all my heart, sir. Yet there's an article between. I must know your country. We used not to give survey of our chief strength to strangers. Our citadels are placed conspicuous to outward view on Tremont's tops, but within our secrets.
A Valencian, sir.
A Valencian? That's native, sir. Of what name, I beseech you?
Alsemero, sir.
Alsemero, not the son of John de Alsemero.
The same, sir.
My best love bids you welcome.
He was wont to call me so, and then he speaks the most unfeigned truth.
Oh, sir, I knew your father. We two were an acquaintance long ago before our chins were worth a Ulan down, and so continued till the stamp of time had coined us into silver. Well, he's gone. A good soldier went with him.
You went together in that, sir?
Oh, no, by St. Jaques, I came behind him. Yet I have done somewhat too. Unhappy day swallowed him at last at Gibraltar in fight with those rebellious Hollanders. Was it not so?
Whose death I had revenged, or followed him in fate, had not the late league prevented me.
Aye, 'twas time to breathe. Oh, Joanna, I should have told thee news. I saw Paracquo lately.
That's ill news.
He's hot preparing for this day of triumph. There must be a bride within this 7 night.
Ha!
Nay, good sir, be not so violent. With speed I cannot render satisfaction unto the dear companion of my soul, virginity, whom I thus long have lived with, and part with it so rude and suddenly. Can such friends divide, never to meet again without a solemn farewell?
Tush, tush, there's a toy.
I now must part, and never meet again with joy on earth. Sir, your pardon, my affairs call on me.
How, sir? By no means, not change it so soon, I hope. You must see my castle and her best entertainment ere we part. I shall think myself unkindly use it else. Come, let's on. I had good hope your stay had been a while with us, and I might have bid you to my daughter's wedding.
He means to feast me, and poisons me beforehand. I should be dearly glad to be there, sir, did my occasion suit as I could wish.
I shall be sorry if you be not there when it is done, sir, but not so suddenly.
I tell you, sir, the gentleman's complete, a courtier and a gallant, enriched with many fair and noble ornaments. I would not change him for a son-in-law for any he in Spain, the proudest he, and we have great ones that you know.
He's much bound to you, sir.
He shall be bound to me as fast as this tie can hold him. I'll want my will else.
I shall want mine if you do it.
But come, by the way, I'll tell you more of him.
How shall I dare to venture in his castle when he discharges murderers at the gate? But I must go on, for back I cannot go.
Not this serpent gone yet.
Beatrice-Joanna drops a glove.
Look, girl, thy glove's fallen. Stay, Deflores, help a little.
Exeunt Vermandero, Alsemero, Jasperino, and servants.
Here, lady.
He hands Beatrice-Joanna her glove.
Stiff on your officious forwardness, who bade you stoop? They touch my hand no more. There, for t'other's sake, I part with this.
Takes off other glove and throws it down.
Take him and draw thine own skin off with them.
and exits, leaving Deflores.
Here's a favour come with a mischief. Now I know she had rather wear my pelt tanned in a pair of dancing pumps than I should thrust my fingers into her sockets here. I know she hates me, yet cannot choose but love her. No matter, if but to vex her, I'll haunt her still. Though I get nothing else, I'll have my will.
And exit Deflores, end of scene. Yes, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot there. I was just watching everyone's reaction to the thrust my fingers into her sockets here. Just talking about a pair of gloves. I mean, it's, there's nothing else there. I just I can't take you anywhere.
Yeah, right.
So we've got that. I'm fascinated by Father. There's so much there because he's actually quite he's in that sense he's both welcoming to Alsemero, but he's also terrifying at the same time. There's something really interesting about and he looks up at the castle and just goes, "If I walk through these gates, I'm gonna die, aren't I?" Well, I don't know, but I don't think it's a comedy, so I don't think it's going to end well. But yeah, just that the way his relationship with his daughter with this random person who goes, "Oh yes, I know your family, and the way Beatrice-Joanna reacts to that is interesting as well, and just the talking about the match that she's got, and then the asides, and you've got these sort of proto lovers who are siding about each other, but not actually obviously at each other except with eyes, and then the dropping of the glove. I mean, I'm assuming that basically the wrong person picked up the glove there. And that's why she's really teed up with Deflores.
I think she wants Alsemero to stay back and from everyone.
Yeah, and it's Deflores instead, and that's not good. Does she know Deflores is quite into her? Do we think? Or does she just not like him?
I think she does. I don't know why. Yeah, it's really interesting, that scene. I expected the dad. I thought, oh, I'm the dad. All right, going to be stock tragedy dad. Not very interesting. Comes on, plot device, goes off. And actually, I was really surprised by him. Yeah, you're right. He's got a bit of oomph behind him, old Vermandero.
He feels awfully dangerous to me.
And actually, I didn't realize that in some of the people's lines. When I first started him, I didn't get that sense of that. But actually, as he starts interrogating it did feel like interrogation by the end of it with Alsemero. He's very courteous. He's very nice about it. But there's daggers in there. It's a horrible scene. He's not the dad I was expecting, if that makes sense in this play. Very interesting character.
Yeah. Eric, were you waving?
I'm afraid no. It's just that he kind of, like, especially Alsemero's line about he means to feast me. It just kind of, I know that back then feasting just meant like sharing a meal with someone and like sort of treating them to food, but it also sounds like he means to eat me, kind of like as in like cannibalism, which sounds really, really wrong. And yeah, I was just wondering what the others are doing while this dialogue is going on, because obviously what's her name? Diaphanta?
Diaphanta, yeah.
Yeah. Diaphanta isn't impressed by Jasperino, but he's like, well, not all over her, but practically all over her, because he stops himself at some point. I'll show the all like later on, kind of. And then
well, we don't really get her reaction. She is silent at the point where he sort of says, "I've got a cure for all ills," and sort of yeah. I mean, he's not a subtle guy, is he?
No.
But,
yeah. Yeah, I'm just wondering what they're doing in the, like, because obviously this is a public scene. It's not like they're just standing around doing nothing. So it's just like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is what's going on with Jasperino and Diaphanta, is that, a mutually assured thing, or is that just him being a, a dick? I am inclined to think the latter, but for all we know, this is part of an ongoing thing between them. We have no real data beyond probability, which is sort of where I'm landing just by who he is. But yeah, it's not just these central characters. We have these peripheral characters who are doing something of which it is not wholly clear. Eric.
Well, also there's like Vermandero has all these like, well, not twists. I don't know what to call them. It's like he has this. Oh yeah, I knew your father. He was a good guy. So on and so forth. Then he's gone. Too bad. Moving on. It's like this very sort of like he's going in one direction and then sort of switches has a 180 moment and then keeps going. I don't know, it's just an interesting thing. Like the bit with the castle also, it's like, oh yes, I'm Dracula, you can come to my castle and we can feast. It will be perfectly safe for you. It has that kind of vibe. I'm like, who on earth invites you could just say your home as opposed to your castle.
I think technically it is castle. We don't know what the architectural style is. I mean, the suggestion of the play so far is it's early Maniac, but we shall see. Anyway, let's get some more data and meet some new people. So, Act 1, Scene 2, enter Alibius and Lollio.
Lollio, I must trust thee with a secret, but thou must keep it.
I was ever close to a secret, sir.
The diligence that I have found in thee, the care and industry already past, assures me of thy good continuance. Lollio, I have a wife.
Why, sir, 'tis too late to keep her secret. She's known to be married all the town and country over.
Thou goest too fast, my Lollio. That knowledge I allow no man can be barred at. But there is a knowledge which is nearer, deeper, and sweeter, Lollio.
Well, sir, let us handle that between you and I.
'Tis that I go about, man. Lollio, my wife is young.
So much the worse to be kept secret, sir.
Why, now thou meetest the substance of the point. I am old, Lollio.
No, sir, 'tis I am old Lollio.
Yet why may not this concord and sympathize? Old trees and young plants often grow together, well enough agreeing.
Aye, sir, but the old trees raise themselves higher and broader than the young plants.
Shrewd application. There's the fear, man. I would wear my ring on my own finger. Whilst it is borrowed, it is none of mine, but his that useth it.
You must keep it on still, then. If it be lie by, one or other will be thrusting into it.
Thou conceivest me, Lollio. Here thy watchful eye must have employment. I cannot always be at home.
I dare swear you cannot.
I must look out.
I knowest you must look out. 'Tis every man's case.
Here I do say must thy employment be, to watch her treadings, and in my absence supply my place.
I'll do my best, sir, yet surely I cannot see who you should have cause to be jealous of.
Thy reason for that, Lollio? 'Tis a comfortable question.
We have but two sorts of people in the house, and both under the whip. That's fools and madmen. The one who has not wit enough to be knaves, and the other not knavery enough to be fools.
Aye, those are all my patients, Lollio. I do profess the cure of either sort. My trade, my living 'tis, I thrive by it. But here's the care that mixes with my thrift. The daily visitants that come to see my brain-sick patients I would not have to see my wife. Gallants I do observe of quick, enticing eyes, rich in habits, of stature and proportion very comely. These are most shrewd temptations, Lollio.
They may be easily answered, sir. If they come to see the fools and madmen, you and I may serve the turn and let my mistress alone. She's of neither sort.
'Tis a good ward, indeed. Come they to see our madmen and our fools. Let them see no more than what they came for. By that consequent, they must not see her. I'm sure she's no fool.
And I'm sure she's no madman.
Hold that buckler fast, Lollio. My trust is on thee, and I account it firm and strong. What hour is it, Lollio?
Towards belly hour, sir.
Dinner time? That means 12 o'clock?
Yes, sir. For every part has his hour. We wake at 6 and look about us. That's eye hour. At 7, we should pray. That's knee hour. At 8, we walk. That's leg hour. At 9, we gather flowers and pluck a rose. That's nose hour. And 10, we drink. That's mouth hour. At 11, lay about us for vixlatudes. That's hand hour. At 12, go to dinner. That's belly hour.
Profoundly, Lollio. It will be long ere all the scholars learn this lesson, and I did look to have a new one entered. Stay, I think my expectation is come home.
Enter Pedro and Antonio like an idiot. So yeah, I suspect. No, I think I'll just have to read that because I think it's going to clash with everybody else. So, save you, sir. My business speaks itself. This sight takes off the labour of my tongue.
Aye, sir. 'Tis plain enough. You mean for him to be my patient. You mean
And if your pains prove but commodious, to give but some little strength to his sick and weak part of nature in him, these are but patterns to show you of the whole pieces that will follow to you beside the charge of diet, washing, and other necessaries fully defrayed.
Believe it, sir. There shall no care be wanting.
Sir, an officer in this place may deserve something. This trouble will pass through my hands.
'Tis fit something should come to your hands then, sir.
Yes, sir, 'tis I must keep him sweet and read to him. What is his name?
His name is Antonio, Mary. We use but half to him, only Tony.
Tony. Tony, 'tis enough, and a very good name for a fool. What's your name, Tony?
Well, I thank you, cousin.
Good boy. Hold up your head. He can laugh. I perceive by that he is no beast.
Well, sir, if you can raise him but to any height, any degree of wit might he attain, as I might say, to creep but on all four toward the chair of wit, or walk on crutches, 'twould add an honour to your worthy pains, and a great family might pray for you, to which he should be heir, had he discretion, to claim and guide his own. Assure you, sir, he is a gentleman.
Nay, there's nobody doubted that. At first sight, I knew him for a gentleman. He looks no other yet.
Let him have good attendance and sweet lodging.
As good as my mistress lies in, sir, and as you allow us time and means, we can raise him to the higher degree of discretion.
Nay, there shall no cost want, sir.
He will hardly be stretched up to the wit of a magnifico.
Oh, no, that's not to be expected. Far shorter will be enough.
I warrant you, I'll make him fit to bear office in 5 weeks. I'll undertake to wind him up to the wit of constable.
If it be lower than that, it might serve turn.
No, fie. To level him with a headborough, beadle, or watchman were but little better than he is. Constable, I'll able him. If he do come to be a justice afterwards, let him thank the keeper, or I'll go further with you. Say I do bring him up to my own pitch. Say I make him as wise as myself.
Why, there I would have it.
Well, go to. Either I'll be an arrant as fool as he, or he shall be as wise as I, and I think 'twill serve his turn.
Nay, I do like thy wit passing well.
Yes, you may. Yet if I had not been a fool, I had more wit than I have to. Remember what state you find me in.
I will, and so leave you your best cares, I beseech you.
Take you none with you. Leave them all with us.
Exit Pedro.
Oh, my cousin's gone. Cousin. Oh,
Peace, Tony. You must not cry, child. You must be whipped if you do. Your cousin is still here. I am your cousin, Tony.
Then I'll not cry if thou beest my cousin.
I were best try his wit a little, that I may know what form to place him in.
Aye, do, Lollio, do.
I must ask him easy questions at first. Tony, how many true fingers has a tailor on his right hand?
As many as on his left, cousin.
Good. And how many on both?
2 less than a deuce, cousin.
Very well answered. I come to you again. Cousin Tony, how many fools go to a wise man?
14 a day sometimes, cousin.
40 in a day? I'll prove you that.
All that fall out amongst themselves and go to a lawyer to be made friends.
A parlous fool. He must sit in the 4th form at least. I perceive that. I come again. Tony, how many knaves make an honest man?
I know not that, cousin.
No, the question is too hard for you. I'll tell you, cousin, there's 3 knaves may make an honest man, a sergeant, a jailer, and a beadle. The sergeant catches him, the jailer holds him, and the beadle latches him. And if he be not honest, then the hangman must cure him.
That's fine sport, cousin.
That was too deep a question for the fool, Lollio.
Yes, this might have served yourself, though I say it. Once more, and you shall go play, Tony.
I play at pushpin, cousin.
So thou shalt. Say how many fools are here.
2, cousin, now and I.
Nay, you are too forward there, Tony. Mark my question. How many fools are knaves are here? A fool before a knave, a fool behind a knave, between every 2 fools a knave. How many fools? How many knaves?
I never learned so far, cousin.
Thou puttest 2 hard questions to him, Lollio.
I'll make him understand it easily. Cousin, stand there.
Aye, cousin.
Master, stand next. Master, stand next. Stand. Master, oh bloody these questions. Master, stand you next the fool.
Well, Lollio.
Here's my place. Mark now, Tony. There, a fool before a knave.
That's I, cousin.
Here's a fool behind a knave, that's I. And between us, 2 fools, there is a knave, that's my master. 'Tis but we 3, that's all.
We three, cousin.
Madman, shout from within.
There, put his head in the pillory, the bread's too little.
Fly, fly, and he catches the swallow.
You may hear what time of day it is. The chimes of Bedlam goes.
Peace, peace, or the wire comes.
Cat whore, her parmesan, her parmesan.
Peace, I say, the hours come, they must be fed, Lollio.
There's no hope of recovery of that Welsh madman. What's undone by a mouse that spoilt him a parmesan lost his wits for it.
Go to your charge, Lollio. I'll to mine.
Go you to your madman's ward. Let me alone with your fools.
And remember my last charge, Lollio.
Of which of your patients do you think I am?
And exit Alibius.
Come, Tony. You must amongst your schoolfellows now. There's pretty scholars amongst them, I can tell you. There's some of them are stultum.
I don't see the madmen, cousin, if they would not bite me.
No, they shall not bite thee, Tony.
They bite when they are at dinner, do they not, cuz?
They bite at dinner indeed, Tony. Well, I hope to get credit by thee. I like thee the best of all the scholars that ever I brought up, and thou shalt prove a wise man, or I'll prove a fool myself.
And exeunt. End of scene. Okay, there's a lot in there. A very different universe, a very different plot. Those who know where this plot is going, keep stum. Just go with the evidence that we've had presented to us. We have a presentation of a probably a fairly accurate presentation to a large degree beyond the comedy business of the horrors of an asylum at the period. That you have effectively customers who turn up with money saying, "Can you take my relation away?" And you make all sorts of promises, and then you haggle and you adjust what you're going to be doing, and then the reality, once the relative has gone away, is potentially much more violent, much crueler, and of course, it is a place of entertainment as well as a place of in theory, cure, though in practice, I doubt there's very much there. So we have this really dark comedy from Lollio, some of which is really nicely done. If it makes us uncomfortable, I think that is sort of the point. It's sort of, he's also trying to get laughs, but I think it is also supposed to be horrible at the same time. I could be wrong on that front, but that's certainly the effect I think we've got today. But all this stuff about the knee hour, leg hour, all of that stuff, that actually I thought was quite, it's the kind of thing that Dickens does a few hundred years later, in Nicholas Nickleby and other things where, there are these sort of institutionalized conventions of things. And then, of course, we find out a little bit about the chap who runs the institution, who's apparently got a wife, and he's a bit worried about keeping her away from ne'er-do-wells. I don't know how paranoid he is about that, or whether that's a genuine fear. So thoughts. There's just so much in there. I mean, I don't know how it's going to connect with the primary plot that we've had. I'm assuming the other plot is the primary plot. We can discuss that later. But yeah, thoughts in the room. I've talked a lot. I don't know if I've recapped everybody's thoughts. Maybe I've just sucked all your thoughts in. But yeah, thoughts on any of these. I thought, Matthew, you enjoyed Lollio rather a lot.
It was quite scary at the end. It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm going to speak anachronistically now, but in just terms of the scandals that happened in the 90s, etc., in particular, asylums and care homes, and then you just think about, oh my God, the abusive nature and the toy of before. This is, I love this play, so I'm going to talk about the data that's been presented within the context of this scene. But it was disturbing as it was playing me. And I had no anticipation of started singing. And I was like, there is a kind of, I found it hypnotic in its storytelling. La la la, you're effing crazy. And he's hypnotizing. There's a hypnosis here with sexual hypnosis. Like, we're getting in each other's skins in every way. Yeah.
And I'd say and in a sense, there is no pretense that this is anything other than the norm of how these institutions function. I mean, that in a sense is the difference between the modern day, is that we're supposed to be having institutions that do care for people, whereas the pretense is wafer thin if it's ever there. Because of course, when they're talking about, we'll look after these guys, he said with the hand out for money. And then it's sort of this almost reverse haggling of, I can do this service for him. There's probably an hint of a bit more money. So, no, you don't need to go that far. It's fine. And it's like, what kind of service are you actually going to provide?
And all the Madman, if we start looking at the Madman, all the imagery, the animalistic imagery that reinforces what happened earlier. Cat, whore, the cats, and the onion, tears, devil, rope. And did we have mad wag before? And now we've got crag. Just fun little words.
Yeah. Eric?
I'm afraid. Now I'm even more afraid, but for different reasons. Just like that last line of what is it? I like the best of all the scholars that ever I brought up. It just sounds like grooming, sort of. I'm creeped out. And there's a part of me wondering if, whether Antonio is pretending to be mad for some reason, like further down the line, obviously, or not. And that, like, sort of, if he is, it's just kind of like, what is he letting himself in for without, like, sort of, and why would he do this if he was fully aware of what was going on? If not, then it's just kind of like, well, fuck. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm also interested in how Lollio is potentially playing his master as well. He's constantly playing people. In that sense, he's not. If we think of him as a clown part, which he sort of is written. Certainly, when he first appears, he feels like that, but then it becomes this much darker figure as we go on. But he's working his master as well, all the time, of sort of trying to tell him what he wants to hear and things. And he's clearly intelligent. Lollio is not an idiot at all.
It reminds me of like, I'm bigger than him, and you are bigger than him for that sketch. And it's like the sergeant is here, and I'm this, and you're there. That comedy.
So that was Act 1. 2 scenes full of potential, as it were, and threat, but in slightly different ways. So let's go forward and see what we get from Act 2. Act 2, Scene 1. Enter Beatrice-Joanna and Jasperino severally.
Oh, sir, I'm ready now for that fair service which makes the name of friend sit glorious on you. Good angels in this conduct be your guide, sir. Fitness of time and place is there set down, sir.
And handsome paper.
The joy I shall return towards my service.
Exit Jasperino.
How wise is Alsemero in his friend. It is a sign he makes his choice with judgment. Then I appear in nothing more approved than making choice of him. For 'tis a principle that he that can choose that bosom well who of his thoughts partakes, proves most discreet in every choice he makes. He thinks I love now with the eyes of judgment. See the way to merit clearly, see it. True deserver like a diamond sparkles. In darkness ye may see him. That's in absence, which is the greatest darkness falls on love. Yet is he best discerned then with intellectual eyesight. What's Piraquo my father spends his breath for? And his blessing is only mine as I regard his name, else it goes from me and turns head against me, transformed into a curse. Some speedy way must be remembered. He's so forward too, so urgent that way scarce allows me breath to speak to my new comforts.
Enter Deflores.
Yonder's she. Whatever ails me, now late especially, I can as well be hanged as refrain seeing her, some 20 times a day, nay, not so little. Do I force errands, frame ways and excuses to come into her sight? And have I small reason for it, and less encouragement? She baits me still, every time worse than other, does profess herself the cruelest enemy to my face in town, but no hand can abide the sight of me, as if danger or ill luck hung in my looks. I must confess my face is bad enough, but I know far worse has better fortune, and not endured alone, but doted on. And yet such pink-haired faces, chins like witches, here and there 5 hairs whispering in a corner, as if they grew in fear of one another. Wrinkles like troughs, where swine deformity swills the tears of perjury that lie there like wash, fallen from the slimy and dishonest eye. Yet such a one plucks sweets without restraint, and has the grace of beauty to his sweet. Though my hard fate has thrust me out to servitude, I tumbled into the world a gentleman. She turns her blessed eye upon me now, and I'll endure all storms before I part with it.
Again, this ominous, ill-faced fellow more disturbs me than all my other passions.
And it begins again. I'll stand this storm of hail, though the stones pelt me.
Thy business.
Soft,
What's thy business?
soft and fair. I cannot part so soon now.
The villain's fixed. Thou standing toad pool.
The shower falls amain now.
Who sent thee? What's thy errand? Leave my sight.
My lord your father charged me to deliver a message to you.
What another since? Do them be hanged then, and let me be rid of thee.
True service merits mercy.
What's thy message?
Let beauty settle but in patience. You shall hear all.
A dallying, trifling torment.
Signor Alonzo de Paraquo, lady, sole brother to Tomazo de Paraquo.
Slave, when wilt make an end?
Too soon I shall.
What all this while of him?
The said Alonzo with the foresaid Tomazo
Yet again.
is new alighted.
Vengeance strike the news. Thou thing most loathed, what cause was there in this to bring thee to my sight?
My lord your father charged me to seek you out.
Is there no other to send his errand by?
It seems 'tis my luck to be in the way still.
Get thee from me.
So, why am I not an ass to devise ways thus to be railed at? I must see her still. I shall have a mad qualm within this hour again. I know it, and like a common garden bull I do but take breath to be lugged again. What this may bode I know not. I'll despair the less because there's daily precedents of bad faces, beloved beyond all reason. These foul chops may come into favour one day mongst his fellows. Wrangling has proved the mistress of good pastime. As children cry themselves to sleep, I have seen women have chid themselves a bed to men.
Exit Deflores.
I never see this fellow, but I think of some harm towards me. Dangers in my mind still. I scarce leave trembling of an hour after. The next good mood I find my father in, I'll get him quite discarded. Oh, I was lost in this small disturbance and forgot affliction's fiercer torment that now comes to bear down all my comforts.
And we'll just pause there before that torrent comes streaming in. We've gathered a lot more information, obviously information that an audience may have seen. I don't think it appeared in the first scene, but Deflores appears to have some sort of feature that is considered visually unpleasing to Beatrice-Joanna, something that Deflores is painfully aware of. And again, we have almost a conversation in aside again. Almost all of this is to the audience. Long speeches from Beatrice-Joanna and Deflores when they're both standing on stage, presumably waiting for the other to speak, and then potentially additional parts of what you actually have there, mate. Little asides within that dialogue as well. It's all a bit agonized, isn't it? Everybody's agonized by something. It's Beatrice-Joanna is torment is in her own way, and is tormenting Deflores as well. And it's this whole thing about she really does think he talks too much, doesn't she? To the point. To the point.
He just I don't know if she's in her room now but like. He's come to where she is and he's standing there and he won't move and he won't leave and he also won't get his message over with, and that would creep me out, honestly.
Yeah. Yes, and that's the thing, because people aren't talking to each other; they're talking to the audience. They're just living their own inner monologue. They're not seeing what the other person is going on with the other person. So yeah, Deflores is he's standing there for a long time thinking in his head all those thoughts, and it's just like I imagine Beatrice-Joanna just turning around, just going, oh, he's there again. He's always there. He's always staring at her. Eric.
He does get some good descriptions in though, like sort of just like when he has that long aside about yonder sheep, whatever ails me, and so on and so forth. Like the language he uses is just very how do you call it? Very precise, like sort of pig-head faces, 5 hairs whispering in the corner as if they grew in fear of one another, wrinkles like troughs. It's just very sort of vivid and visual. It's not sort of, I mean, it's almost poetic, but not quite. Yeah. Not quite. I don't know, it just impressed me.
Other thoughts?
The word hanged and the word eye and this attention almost to the neck. I just, when I say the neck, it knows his neck, but just the suffocation. There is heat. The temperature keeps on getting turned up. And that lovely line, harm towards me. But it's harm towards me. I look, when you said about them being stood on stage and they're going, oh, hello. It's almost like, I really like him. Hello. But it's repulsion and double revulsion. And it's electric. The tension of that hanging is a razor edge.
Other thoughts? No, that's okay. Sorry, go.
This scene is significant. It's the first big two-hander between Beatrice-Joanna. It's always seemed strange to me that she should have 2 names. Anyway, it's the first scene. The first.
Sorry,
big
I just got BJ. That's a name.
Anyway, I guess if I were directing this play, I would look. The first scene very much establishes Beatrice-Joanna, but doesn't establish much about Deflores. And this scene really establishes Deflores. This is where you see more about him. So, I don't know. It's certainly an exciting one to play.
And of course, the greater disturbance is coming in now. So we'll see how that changes the tone of what's going on. So enter Vermandero, Alonzo, and Tomazo.
You are both welcome. But an especial one belongs to you, sir, to whose most noble name our love presents the addition of a son, our son Alonzo.
The treasury of honour cannot bring forth a title I should more rejoice in, sir.
You have improved it well. Daughter, prepare. The day will steal upon thee suddenly.
However, I will be sure to keep the night if it should come so near me.
Vermandero and Beatrice-Joanna talk apart. Alonzo.
Brother?
In troth, I see small welcome in her eye.
Fie, you are too severe a censor of love in all parts. There's no bringing on you. If lovers should mark everything a fault, affection would be like an ill-set book, whose faults might prove as big as half the volume.
That's all I do entreat.
It is but reasonable. I'll see what my son says to it. Son Alonzo, here's a motion made, but to reprieve a maidenhead 3 days longer. The request is not far out of reason, for indeed the former time is pinching.
Though my joys be set back so much time as I could wish, they had been forwarded, yet since she desires it, the time is set as pleasing as before. I find no gladness wanting.
May I ever meet it in that point still? You are nobly welcome, sirs.
And exit father and daughter. So, did you mark the dullness of her parting now?
What dullness? Thou art so expeditious still.
Why, let it go then. I am but a fool to mark your harm so heedfully.
Where's the oversight?
Come, your faith's cozened in her, strongly cozened. Unsettled your affection with all speed. Wisdom can bring it too. Your peace is ruined else. Think what a torment 'tis to marry one whose heart is leapt into another's bosom. If ever pleasure she receive from thee, it comes not in thy name or of thy gift. Yet she lies but with another in thine arms. He the half-father unto all thy children in the conception. If he get 'em not, She helps to get 'em for him in his passions, and how dangerous and shameful her restraint may go in time to, it is not to be thought on without sufferings.
You speak as if she loved some other then.
Do you apprehend so slowly?
Nay, and that be your fear only. I am safe enough. Preserve your friendship and your counsel, brother, for times of more distress. I should depart an enemy, a dangerous, deadly one, but to any but thyself that should but think she knew the meaning of inconstancy, much less the use and patience. Yet we are friends, pray let no more be urged. I can endure much till I meet an injury to her. Then I am not myself. Farewell, sweet brother, how much we are bound to heaven to depart lovingly.
Exit Alonzo. Why, here is love's tame madness, thus a man quickly steals into his vexation. Exit Tomazo, who's given some good advice. I'm sorry, I've used my seeing eyes to see that this isn't good. This isn't good. Beatrice-Joanna has managed to stave everything off for 3 more days. Had a chat with Daddy to get that done. That's you've been warned. You have been warned by in that situation. I really am liking the sort of the way the verse is moving. It's got the right balance, I think, between knottiness and clarity, which is sometimes I think it's fair to say that Middleton can go the other way, but here it is quite nicely balanced. Assuming this bit is by Middleton, I am assuming that it could be Rowley. There are always, as ever, disagreements as to precise divisions of labour between the text, but it feels quite Middletonian. Any thoughts as we before we go into the? This might be our penultimate, final scene of the session. Unless we decide to go on, we can always go on further. But it's quite a chunky scene. It goes on for a while, so it probably is our final scene. Any other thoughts on the brothers, Eric?
You kind of expect like one of them to go, "Suffer me no sufferings," or like some sort of like, one of those repetitive sayings or something. Just because, it's basically setting up Tomazo as the sort of rational one, and Alonzo as the one who hopes and like is more like, "Oh yeah, I'll totally convince her. She hasn't met me yet, so it's fine," kind of thing. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just intriguing. Because usually you'd kind of have a long. I mean, I'm guessing back then you would have a courtship of some sort, or like at least writing letters or some form of.
Well, again, it's a status thing. Is as to how much control you personally have over these things. And Alonzo himself seems like a reasonably decent chap. I mean, for a tragic play, one is kind of expecting slightly more nastiness. But he's got 3 days. I can wait. It's fine. It seems perfectly. Matthew and then Liza.
If Polinius had a brother, these would be his kids. That's how it feels. If Polinius had a brother, this would be his children. I enjoy it. There is a relish to it. There is relish and fun. And do you know what I really would like to have heard, which is very intriguing, is what the father and daughter spoke about. I would
or more importantly, how did she persuade him to because it's that thing of give me another 3 days, Daddy. Especially as it's probably quite annoying for her because she was hoping to use whatever thing she was going to say there to get rid of Deflores, and it's like, no, I've got to do this one first. And it's like because she did say I'll find a way of telling my dad to get rid of Deflores at some point, and it never quite gets around to being able to do that. Liza.
What you were saying earlier about, Alonzo di Piracquo, as you say, for a tragedy, for the person her father wants to marry her to, Alonzo actually seems nice. He makes a very courtly gloss on the 3 days and says, if it will make you happy, I'm happy to wait. In any tragedy, it's really interesting to note the points at which things could have actually ended better. And at this point, I'm thinking, especially with the conversation between Tomazo and Alonzo, saying, girl, just marry him. He's the ideal play husband. He is never going to suspect a thing. Marry and shag whoever you want. That's my advice column to Beatrice-Joanna.
Yeah. You just get over yourself enough to just do the decent indecent thing. So on that note, let's go to Act 2, Scene 2. Morality advice from Jacobean drama. Eric, before we move on.
I was just gonna say, like, sort of how many suitors has she met before this? Because presumably, like, she's met quite a few guys who want to marry her, and then she's kind of like, "Oh, come on!" And then she meets Alsemero, who is actually kind of seems attractive to her for whatever reason, because we don't know what happened before the play actually happened, like before they actually met, and he's kind of like, "Oh, I'm weak in the knees for you," kind of thing. Yeah, so like it's like, how bad were the other guys before this? Or like, were they like Jasperino? Were they worse?
It might just be a case of, just when love struck, it was just a timing thing. It was just a timing thing. She got it bad at the wrong moment and just can't go any other way.
I was just going to add, we don't really have any clues yet as to the fact that this might be a tragedy. Like, it's not an explicit one yet.
I was actually just double checking to see whether there's a title page and things that explicitly say the words tragedy, but as of yet I haven't stumbled across one. I'm sure there probably is one. There is something somewhere, but in the text I have in front of I don't actually have a genre designation. I am sure it is usually published with tragedies, and it is generally considered to be a tragedy. I'm not going to doubt for a second that it's not a tragedy, but I'm curious actually whether it is specifically labelled in any editions. Where everyone now scurries around to find their different editions. But I can't see a title page at the moment, so I don't know. But that's a question. Anyway, I don't think there's any doubt this isn't going to end happily. Don't worry about that, people. Relax. Act 2, Scene 2. Enter Diaphanta and Alsemero. The place is my charge. You have kept your hour, and the reward of a just meeting bless you. I hear my lady coming. Complete gentlemen, I dare not be too busy with my praises. There are dangerous things to deal with. Exit, Diaphanta.
This goes well. These women are the ladies' cabinets. Things of most precious trust are locked into them.
Enter Beatrice-Joanna.
I have within mine eye all my desires, requests that holy prayers ascend heaven for, and brings them down to furnish our defects, come not more sweet to our necessities than thou unto my wishes.
We are so alike in our expressions, lady, that unless I borrow the same words, I shall never find their equals.
And they embrace, kiss, however you want to describe it.
How happy were this meeting, this embrace, if it were free from envy, this poor kiss. It has an enemy, a hateful one that wishes poison to it. How well were I now if there were none such name known as Piraquo, nor no such tie as the command of parents. I should be but too much blessed.
One good service would strike off both your fears, and I'll go near it too, since you are so distressed. Remove the cause, the command ceases. So there's two fears blown out with one and the same blast.
Pray let me find you, sir. What might that service be, so strangely happy?
The honorablest piece about man, valor. I'll send a challenge to Paraquo instantly.
How? Call you that extinguishing of fear when 'tis the only way to keep it flaming? Are not you ventured in the actions? That's all my joys and comforts. Pray no more, sir. Say you prevailed, your dangers and not mine then. The law would claim you from me, or obscurity be made the grave to bury you alive. I'm glad these thoughts come forth. Oh, keep not one of this condition, sir. Here was a course found to bring sorrow on her way to death. The tears would ne'er a dried till dust had choked 'em. Blood guiltiness becomes a fouler visage, and now I think on one. I was to blame. I have marred so good a market with my scorn. 'T'had been done questionless. The ugliest creature creation framed for some use. Yet to see, I could not mark so much where it should be.
Lady?
Why, men of art make much of poison, keep one to expel another. Where was my art?
Lady, you hear me not.
I do, especially, sir. The present times are not so sure of our side as those hereafter may be. We must use them then as thrifty folks their wealth, sparingly now, till the time opens.
You teach wisdom, lady.
Within there, Diaphanta.
Enter Diaphanta. Do you call, madam?
Perfect your service, and conduct this gentleman the private way you brought him.
I shall, madam.
My love's as firm as love e'er built upon.
And exeunt Diaphanta and Alsemero. Enter Deflores.
I have watched this meeting, and do wonder much what shall become of t'other. I'm sure both cannot be served unless she transgress. Happily then I'll put in for one, for if a woman fly from one point, from him she makes a husband. She spreads and mounts, then like arithmetic, 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, proves in time subtler to an army royal. Now do I look to be most richly railed at, yet I must see her.
Why, put case I loathed him as much as youth and beauty hates a sepulchre. Must I needs show it? Cannot I keep that secret and serve my turn upon him? See, he's here. Deflores.
I shall run mad with joy. She called me fairly by my name, Deflores, and neither rogue nor rascal.
What have you done to your face, Alate? You have met with some good physician. You have pruned yourself. Methinks you were not wont to look so amorously.
Not I. 'Tis the same physiognomy to a hair and pimple, which she called scurvy scarce an hour ago. How is
Come
this?
hither. Come hither. Nearer, man.
I'm up to the chin in heaven.
Turn. Let me see. For 'tis but the heat of the liver, I perceive it. I thought it had been worse.
Her fingers touched me. She smells all amber.
I'll make a water that for you shall cleanse this within a fortnight.
With your own hands, lady?
Yes, mine own, sir. In a work of cure, I'll trust no other.
'Tis half an act of pleasure to hear her talk thus to me.
When we are used to a hard face, it is not so unpleasing. It mends still in opinion, hourly. Mends. I see it by experience.
I was blessed to light upon this minute. I'll make use on it.
Hardness becomes the visage of a man well. It argues service, resolution, manhood, if cause were of employment.
Would be soon seen if e'er your ladyship had cause to use it. I would but wish the honour of a service so happy as that mounts to.
We shall try you. Oh, my Deflores.
How's that? She calls me hers already, my Deflores. You were about to sigh out somewhat, madam.
No, was I? I forgot.
There 'tis again, the very fellow on it.
You're too quick, sir.
There's no excuse for it. Now I heard it twice, madam. That sigh would fain have utterance. Take pity on it, and lend it a free word. Lass, how it labours for liberty! I hear the murmur yet beat at your bosom.
Would creation
Aye, well said, that's it.
had formed me man.
Nay, that's not it.
Oh, 'tis the soul of freedom. I should not then be forced to marry one I hate beyond all depths. I should have power then to oppose my loathings, nay, remove them forever from my sight.
Oh, blessed occasion! Without change to your sex, you have your wishes. Claim so much man in me.
In thee, Deflores, there's small cause for that.
Put it not from me. It's a service that I kneel for to you.
You are too violent to mean faithfully. There's horror in my service, blood and danger. Can these be things to sue for?
If you knew how sweet it were to me to be employed in any act of yours, you would say then I failed, and use not reverence enough when I receive the charge on it.
This is much, methinks. Belike his wants are greedy, and to such gold tastes like angels' food. Rise.
I'll have the work first.
Possible his need is strong upon him. There's to encourage thee. As thou art forward and thy service dangerous, thy reward shall be precious.
That I have thought on, I have assured myself of that beforehand, and know it will be precious. The thought ravishes.
Then take him to thy fury.
I thirst for him.
Alonzo de Piracquo.
His ends upon him, he shall be seen no more.
How lovely now dost thou appear to me! Never was man dearlier rewarded.
I do think of that.
Be wondrous careful in the execution.
Why are not both our lives upon the cast?
Then I throw all my fears upon thy service.
They ne'er shall rise to hurt you.
When the deed's done, I'll furnish thee with all things for thy flight. Thou mayst live bravely in another country.
I will talk of that hereafter.
Shall rid myself of two inveterate loathings at one time, Piracquo and his dog face.
Exit Beatrice-Joanna.
Oh, my blood! Methinks I feel her in mine arms already, her wanton fingers combing out this beard, and being pleased, praising this bad face. Hunger and pleasure, they'll commend sometimes slovenly dishes and feed heartily on 'em. Nay, which is stranger, with you daintier form. Some women are odd feeders. I'm too loud. Here comes the man, goes supperless to his bed, yet shall not rise tomorrow to his dinner.
Enter Alonzo.
Deflores,
My kind honourable lord.
I am glad I had met with thee.
Sir,
Thou canst show me the full strength of the castle?
that I can, sir.
I much desire it.
And if the ways and straits of some of the passages be not too tedious for you, I will assure you worth your time and sight, my lord.
That shall be no hindrance.
I'm your servant then. 'Tis now near dinner time. Gainst your lordship's rising, I'll have the keys about me.
Thanks, kind Deflores.
He's safely thrust upon me, beyond hopes.
And exeunt, and just a little stage management cue there, somewhere between the acts while they're trimming candles, assuming this is an indoor theatre. At the time, they're just setting a prop. In act time, Deflores hides a naked rapier. So there's a little bit of business going on there in between the acts. And I say, depending on the context of performance, there might be an actual gap there. Okay, quite a lot to again unpick from this. I mean, let's look at the relative. I mean, it's not an I've known considerably longer tragedies than this, but we've only had 4 scenes in this entire play so far, and actually they're fairly economical scenes. They are really there is some sort of a little bit of repetition in terms of, but they're all sort of pushing Beatrice-Joanna and various people further forward. We see a sort of consummation, or at least a declaration between Alsemero and Beatrice-Joanna, and then we have this scene with Deflores. And who thinks this is going to go well? This is where the play really does start getting very interesting as to what it's doing with different roles here, with the kind of bargaining, the kind of power dynamics that are going on here, because of course we have someone who is in a lower status in terms of wealth and position within a household, but you also have the difference between statuses between men and women, and the various things, and then you add sex on top of that, and everything gets even more mushed up. And I think who was putting in the chat all these references to fingers and food and sensory things. This is a very sensual text all the way thing. Stuff you can feel, tactile things, playing, and the distance between the actors as well. We're talking about the uncomfortable gaze that we had earlier between Deflores and Beatrice-Joanna. Here we have an uncomfortable distance between them, as suddenly she's getting close to him and touching him and being there. This is a scene to play between actors. This is a scene where really you. And I did love some of the asides to Deflores. When they had formed me man, nay, that's not it. That's the cold. That's not the direction I wanted this sentence to go in. And we got laughs, as we're reading that. There is always with asides that element of humour can creep into it, even when asides are being used dramatically. There is always that comedic edge that can come in, that awkward edge, and I think that's a natural response from this text. I've talked a lot. Other thoughts from the room? I think Rachel brought up the fingers in the chat, and we had it from the gloves right at the beginning.
Yeah, it keeps calling back to the thrusting the fingers into the gloves line. Keeps reminding us of that lovely grotesque image.
Mm.
Yes, and there's a reference to a ring between Alibius and Lollio as well.
Yes,
that's
yeah.
sort of a similar metaphor.
Yeah, very much so.
Yes, there's a lot of thrusting. There's a lot of it going on. And yet, of course, in a play, I mean, we have had one embrace of some description, but actually, people haven't been. We've had a kiss, an awkward, questionable kiss earlier, and then this one in this scene. But actually, for all the tactileness between Beatrice-Joanna, and the game that she is trying to play here with Deflores, it's not consummate. It doesn't go beyond a certain promise. It's all about the promise. And the problem is, Deflores looks like he's going to want that promise to be paid in full later on, and that's where this play probably gets quite dark.
Well, I mean, I kind of love her scheme here, where she's like, okay, after you've killed this guy in a duel, you're obviously going to want to get out of the country. I will help you do that. Please go away. And she has the perfect plan. She thinks.
Yeah.
And it happens really fortunately. Very end of the scene, Alonzo comes up and says, "Hey, Deflores, can you show me the dark parts of the castle where no one can hear you scream?" And Deflores.
Yes. Yes, I'm glad you asked that question, because oddly enough, yes, we have the murder tour starting in just a few minutes. How old do we think, serious question, how old do we think Beatrice-Joanna is? Because it's another question of emotional intelligence as well here, of, there's something about Beatrice-Joanna, that feels very young in terms of interacting with people, or not necessarily physically, but certainly in terms of how cloistered has she been? With the nature of her father, I'm just thinking he's got a big castle. How close is that to actual civilization, Greg?
I think I don't know. It's odd because I think she's actually relatively old, in inverted commas. I think she's got some age to her, and it's hard because she seems very emotionally young, but I also think she's very seems to be a sort of it's not seniority, confidence to her, and it's a very interesting play. I will just say I'm going to throw my usual in before I forget. I'm curious as to where the title comes from, or who is the title.
Yes.
Which is always an interesting question in these plays. I mean, it's like, well, not so much to spit issues at all, because it's bloody obvious by the end of it, but
they do the importance of being an earnest gag at the end of saying the title in a very obvious way. Yes,
but in this way, unless we get that wonderful line at the end about the changeling, but it's a very interesting title for this play. They all seem to be playing a game of disguise to me, but no, interesting.
Yes, and I suspect there's no real point debating that point yet, because we've had 3 scenes primarily set in the castle, and we've had 1 scene set in the institution. I'm sure we will find out more next time. I'll go to Eric and then Matthew.
Actually, I think Matthew was first.
I'll go to Matthew, then Eric.
Well, thank you, sir. Just 3 points. The amazing choreography of this scene, from the comedy, and it reminds me of do you think where Strindberg ripped off, with Jean and Miss Julie? Oh, I've got something in my eye. Come here. Hello, bosom. Oof. And just the giggles of that I am up to the chin in heaven. It's very Carry On. Hello, Barbs. And then this double take and this homosocial when he says, I thirst for him. And she's seen 2 men get up. She's seen 2 men rise in her eyes. And you already picked up on that intelligence. I just thought that is that she slices it. And I think that's the moment where, to me, as I'm reading this fresh, you don't F about with her. She knows what she's doing. She knows her power. She is... It's almost like an awakening for us going, oh, shit, I took you for a bit of a puppet. You're not. You're the one pulling the strings, Chuck. That's it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's in a sense of she knows a certain percentage or potential of her power, but she doesn't necessarily know the stakes that are set against you as well. Whereas Deflores, I think, is again, we're talking about experience and emotional intelligence, and Deflores, who it feels starved of affection, shall we say, and the suggestion there is of course that's something to do with whatever it is that they're finding so the society finds so unpleasant in his face, and it's not wholly clear precisely what that is. It seems to vary slightly from bit to bit. Is it a birthmark? Is it pustules? Is it something? There seems to be everything, and a question of how that functions in a text like this. There's lots of elements that we will talk about as being sort of problematic in this text, between the whole bedlam sort of sequence, as well as the potential elements of ableism that's going in here. That's not necessarily quite the right way of phrasing it. But I'm sure we'll get into that more further into the text. Eric.
Yeah, I was gonna say that this scene is basically it reads like a mirror scene to the bedlam scene, which is kind of making me think that this is all in the same place. I mean, obviously, in terms of this is like Bluebeard's castle, different rooms in the same place. Because obviously, if you open a room in Bluebeard's castle, you die, or well, you might die. I don't know. It's not a very pleasant place to be, and neither of these 2 plots is a very pleasant place to be. And Deflores seems to be a very good mirror of Lollio. He has the same vibe, same energy, sort of that sort of, oh, he's safely thrust upon me beyond hopes. And then you have that last line that we had in the bedlam scene, which was kind of like very sort of, you're mine now. You're all mine.
In the sense that they both basically have the keys to the kingdom and can wander around there, and especially with that element there, that we've got a big institution like a castle with lots of murder passages available, and I say he's talking about keys and this whole thing of again food, because we had food because a thing that really came up in the feeding time and things in the institution as well. It was dinner time. And we have a little reference to supperless and dinner here. So there are definitely parallels and echoes that are going on between the two plots. How they interact is unclear at this stage. I'm sure we will get into that more in a future time. Time is, however, moving on, so we will go into final thoughts. I think it's fair to say that this is full of potential. I think it might be worth reviving occasionally. I'm sure. I'll stop being facetious. Yes, it is quite a well-known text. It has a very good modern stage history. To a degree, you don't need to make the case of what you do with this in the way that we often do with other plays. Final thoughts around the room. Liza, any final thoughts?
Well, it's nice to come back to this play. I studied it a bit at university with Professor A.D. Nuttall, author of Shakespeare the Thinker, who was a very lovely English professor, now sadly no longer with us. I'm sorry, I didn't think, I just said it. Anyways, yes, rightful quack on me. Anyway, and then I saw a very lovely production of this at the Globe. It was great. I mean, Claire Van Kampen did the music, and it was really minimalist and weird, with lots of string instruments doing weird things with the wooden side of their bows, and there was a lot of darkness, and people used dark lanterns, and it was really fun. So, but that was many years ago, and I haven't thought much about the play since then. So it's nice to come back and think of it again now.
Eric, any final thoughts?
Well, I think it grabbed me aside from the fact that I've listened to your discussion session, so like I'm not going to pretend to not know anything about it, but like it grabbed me from the beginning of when we started reading it. It just kind of like, because I'm curious to see how it ends, like how it plays out in terms of, and the language as well is very violent. It kind of, I don't know, like there's a part of me going, like, if you laugh at the jokes, it's meant to make you feel slimy and uncomfortable. And all the sort of contrasts you've got in there are just like sort of really on top of each other. So you don't have time to recover from one thing before it hits you with the next thing, kind of thing. I don't know. It's just I'm already liking this play, which is worrying me because I don't know.
Anna Rose. Anna Rose, any final thoughts?
Yeah, sure. This is my first encounter with the play, and I have to say I'm also intrigued to see where we're going to end up. I'd love to see a stage production of it, particularly to see what they do or how they manage the staging with all of the asides, because I found the number of those really intriguing, just to think about what would the other characters on stage be doing, so they're not just standing there like a dead weight while there are these like aside after aside after aside. So yeah, I think it would be really interesting to see a stage production of this, but enjoying reading it.
Matthew, any final thoughts?
Playfully perverse. I just love the fact that it's got temple and then church, and then we talk about Greece and then Turk. I was introduced to this when I was 17 years old, and I did it as a double bill for A-level with the Duchess of Malfi. I went to the Grand Theatre in Blackpool, and Anastasia Hill, so I'm 17 years old, Anastasia Hill at the Cheek by Jowl, beautiful, stunning. And And then we were studying this, and then this was a production, I think, at the Young Vic, with the actress who was in Call the Midwife. She was Beatrice-Joanna, and the playful perversion and the taboos that it plays with now. I'm excited to see it at 45.
Greg, any final thoughts?
I'm finding this really interesting because I'm coming at this from having just had 3 days or 3 afternoons of city comedies, sorry. And it just makes me realize just how the one can be one step from the other, if that makes sense. There's some moments in this where the comedy could sit so easily in a comedy. Sorry, the funny lines could sit so easily in a comedy, and actually some of the horrible lines could sit very well in a comedy, and they'd be funny. And it slightly unnerves me when I start reading 2 plays of similar period, and you suddenly realize actually they're quite close in their own ways. I found The Father really interesting. Vermandero, who I thought was just going to be the stock character, stock dad, was, as I've said before, was just an amazingly interesting man. And I'm, as I put in the chat, one of the things we always play, all the games we always play when we're doing tragedy, is who's going to be the last person in the room, who's going to be the one person who's standing up at the end.
Yeah, who gets to stand there and say, all these people are dead, we are sad.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm curious to see where that's going with this. I think I've got an idea, but also I can see this being very subversive and throwing that out of kilter very, very quickly, with a death midway through that you don't expect. Anyway, that's not me knowing anything. I don't know the play at all. So yeah.
And finally, Rachel, any final thoughts?
I'm just thoroughly squicked out by this all over again.
It really knows how to creep people out. Actually, it's very good at that. It's very good at unnerving and placing questions that. Yeah, it's doing that very well.
There are no real clear good guys or girls in this. Yeah. All kind of yucky.
So, on that cheerful note, we will return. welcome to the darker end of the spectrum of tragedy. I mean, sometimes you can have a tragedy, and people are dropping left, right, and centre, and yet you feel sort of vaguely uplifted. Whereas this is very much more down the slightly disturbing, worrying what are we watching, and very much down that sort of horror vibe end of the spectrum. Sometimes tragedies don't feel that way, but you do feel that everybody's a bit trapped, and you're a bit scared. Are they going to get out? And of course we know that probably quite a lot of them aren't. Yeah, there's a claustrophobia, I think, about this castle. We'll see where it goes. So, we will continue reading this in the coming days. And if you're interested in joining us for these sessions, these are open sign-ups. They're available on the website beyondshakespeare.org. There is always a page. Exploring sessions sign-ups are always available there, so if you want to join us, you can. It's very straightforward. We send you a little square box for you to sit in, and then we edit them together later. It's all very 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 well organised. But till the time that maybe we will meet you in person, all that remains to thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. Pluck a rose. That's Rose Hour.